your favorite recipes.
Simply Food.
You should know by now that you're in for a treat.
Simply Food.
There's no other channel where you'd rather be.
Simply Food.
Seafood, pasta, cakes, and pies. Sing and laugh and even cry. Like and share and hit subscribe. Simply Food by TY.
Hey, what's up, you guys? It's your boy, Simply Food by TY, and as you saw by that intro clip, today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make a very delicious and extremely quick 4-layer turkey lasagna. Now, I just want to start off by saying if you are looking for a more classical lasagna that's with a really nice bolognese sauce, just click the link that just popped up and I will show you guys exactly how I make it. But this lasagna is actually going to be for people that don't eat beef or pork, so that's why I decided that I'm going to go ahead and just film a version of me making it with turkey products. So let's get right into it. So I've just added in 3 pounds of ground turkey, and now I'm going in with some complete seasoning. Now, if you guys aren't used to working with, turkey meat in general, you should know that you really need to make sure you're seasoning it up. So I'm going in with some complete Badia seasoning, which I used about 2 tablespoons worth. I'm using about 1.5 tablespoons of garlic powder. I'm going to use roughly about, I would say, the same amount of onion powder as well. Now, if you want, you absolutely could add in onions and garlic to this, but once again, I'm making this for a particular crowd of folks, so I know exactly what they want. I'm going to be using some salt-free Mrs. Dash seasoning, and I'm going to use about 2 tablespoons of this as well. As of right now, we haven't really used much that has a lot of salt in it, so you can be kind of heavy-handed with it. As I always say, you can always add salt, but you can't remove salt. And speaking of salt, now let's go ahead and add in a little bit of our seasonal salt, which I will start off with adding in roughly about 1 tablespoon. And then as we cook it later on down the line, I'll taste it and see if I want to add a little bit more of this or a little bit more of that later on down the line. I have this in a Dutch oven pot because I'm pretty much going to make all of the sauce in that one pot. And I'm going to go in with about 1/2 tablespoon of black pepper. You can use more, you can use less. Okay, so now that we have, our seasonings in there, let's go ahead and get our meat kind of chopped down. Once again, this entire recipe is going to be made with all turkey products. There will be no beef and no pork. And depending upon how much fat is in the turkey that you're using, you may or may not need to add oil. As you saw, I did add in about 1.5 tablespoons of avocado oil at the beginning, just to make sure that none of my turkey, burns, because honey, ground turkey will burn on you so damn quick, it just don't make no sense. But not today, Satan, not today. So now that our meat is, looking pretty good, it's pretty cooked, this is around the perfect time when you want to go ahead and taste it for extra seasoning. See if you would like to add some more garlic powder, onion powder, your seasonal salt, maybe some more of the complete seasoning. Give it a taste. This would be the perfect time. Once you do that, you want to go ahead and remove all of your meat, sit it in a bowl and sit it to the side, but do not wash your pan because we're going to continue to cook the rest of our stuff. Now, like I said, for me, when I use something with ground turkey, when it comes to a lasagna or even a spaghetti, ground turkey to me has a very mushy texture to it. So I always like to make sure that I add in other ingredients that have a different texture and a different bite. So I'm using smoked turkey sausage here. And as you can see, I'm not even going to chop these in any particular form. I'm going to give it a good rough chop right now. So that way it's just a bunch of different size pieces, because what I want is for when you to bite into the lasagna, you're getting a different texture. You're getting the softness from that ground turkey, but you're getting a little bite as well from the smoked sausage. So, when you go chop them up, don't feel like they have to be one particular size. Don't feel like they have to be all minced or all big. I just do a rough chop. That way the sauce itself has a little bit more buoyancy to it, and it has a little bit more bite when you go to get that final bite of your lasagna. The other thing that I like to add in mine is also turkey pepperoni. Once again, we want to add in different elements of both texture and flavor. And like I said, this is turkey. We're using ground turkey, ground sausage, and ground turkey pepperoni, I'm sorry. Same thing for this. Give it a nice old rough chop, and that's pretty much it. So once you got your ground turkey cooked, set to the side, your sausage cut up, and your pepperoni sliced up, now we can go ahead and make our way back to that same Dutch oven pot that we didn't wash. We're going to add in another tablespoon or so of our avocado oil, and we can go ahead and add in that smoked turkey sausage so that we can go ahead and start browning that off. I'm not a fan of just adding in smoked sausages to just the meat itself and allow it to cook. To me, I like to get that little bit of crisp to it. It just brings out the flavor more. So that's the reason why I like to cook it beforehand. And speaking of which, I also want to bring a little bit of life to the pepperonis. So now that our sausages are cooked, we're going to add in those pepperonis now, just so we can kind of, start to bring them to life a little bit, release some of the oils from it so that we can create as much flavor. For those of us that love ground beef and ground pork or a typical bolognese sauce, there's a lot of flavor. So since we're using ground turkey, we want to make sure that we're getting that same result, right? So now that that's browned off, we let that cook for a few minutes. We can go ahead and start adding in our ground turkey again. Like I said, this recipe is extremely quick. It's extremely simple. If you want to make this sauce the night before, that's even better. So that way the sauce really has time to gel together. But you don't have to. You really don't have to. The only thing that I will say is that when I make lasagna, I always prefer to make my sauce a few hours earlier, because I actually like for my sauce to either be at room temperature and or cold when I start to layer it. And the reason why I say that is because if you go in with extremely piping hot sauce, you're going to start melting the cheese and all of that, and then it just becomes a sloppy mess, and you don't want that. So now you're going to go in with adding in your favorite marinara sauce. Now, it could either be homemade, it could be ragu, it could be Prego, it could be whatever you like. I'm not one of them bougie people that tell you that you can't use whatever damn type of sauce you like. You use what you want, okay? Now, I will say I use roughly about, I would say probably about 5 to 6 cups worth of sauce, if not a little bit more than that. I used a pretty decent amount. I also have no issues with using, that large jar of Prego, the traditional. I'm totally fine with that. And you could absolutely use that in this recipe and it would still be delicious. My only thing is that if you're going to use a jarred sauce, just make sure you're using a quality one. And you're probably going to have to add in a pinch of sugar, just because sometimes the jarred ones can, be a little bit rough, you know what I'm saying? So now that we have our sauce mixed in and we gave it a taste, now we can go in and add in a few more, seasonings, the garlic powder, the onion powder. See if we want a little bit more Italian seasoning. We're gonna go in now with our parsley. You could also add in some fresh basil at this point. So we're gonna let this now cook on a low simmer for roughly about a half hour to an hour. And then once it's done, put the lid, you can put the lid on it, let it simmer for, like I said, a half hour to an hour. And then at that hour mark, turn it off, sit it to the side. Like I said, you could do this the day before, save you all this time, or just a few hours ahead, just so that the sauce will have a little bit of time to cool off. But as you can see, this sauce is packed. It has different textures, full of flavor. You're not missing the beef. You're not missing the pork, because we've added in all those other elements. All right. So now that our sauce is done, let's move on to the next step, which is getting our ricotta cheese nicely seasoned and situated. So I have 1 large container of our ricotta cheese. To that, I am going to be adding in 2 large eggs. You want to make sure that your eggs are at room temperature. It's just going to be easier to mix everything up. I added in about a half a cup of Parmesan cheese. And as you just saw, I used the Outlet, the garlic and herb cheese spread, and I used half of the container, okay? So as you saw, that was a nice size scoop. And then I used 1 heaping handful of mozzarella cheese and roughly about 4 tablespoons of parsley and or basil, whatever you can get your hands on. And you want to go ahead and just give that a good mix around. This is what we're going to be using as a part of our layers. Like I said, this lasagna comes out to about 4 layers. So this is actually the perfect amount. Now, I should have mentioned this earlier, but just so that you guys know, in regards to this recipe and the size pan that I'm going to use, which I will make sure I type on the screen, I ended up having about half a pot of sauce left over, which is exactly what I like. Anytime I make a meat sauce, whether it's for a lasagna, for a spaghetti, stuffed shells, whatever the case is, I always double the amount of sauce so that I can put it in the freezer so that the next time when I want it, it's already made and it's filled with flavor. You know what I mean? So that's why I do it. But now that our ricotta mixture is nicely set and good to go, I think it's time for us to start layering. So we have our baking dish here, and we're going to go down first with adding in sauce. You always want to make sure that you add just a little bit of the sauce on the bottom, because if you put your pasta directly down onto that baking dish, it will burn. So you don't need to put a lot, but just enough so that you have some moisture up underneath that pasta. Now, like I said, this is a very quick lasagna, so we're not going to use the boiled pasta. We're going to use the oven ready. Again, there are going to be people that will make you feel like that's not real lasagna. That's a lie, okay? Pasta is pasta. Don't listen to them people. They just being unnecessarily bougie, honey. Today, we are all about the quick and simple to get you a decent meal for you, your kids, and your husband, and or your wife, all right? So like I said, this is the oven ready, but be sure, if you get this type of pasta, make sure that it says oven ready. Do not get regular lasagna and just put it in there raw, or it will take forever to cook. So just be mindful of that. So we had our first layer of sauce, our pasta, and now we're going in with our layer of our ricotta cheese. Once again, you want to make sure that you're evenly spreading everything out so that you'll have a little bit of everything in every single bite. That's the key to lasagna. You don't want any bald areas, you know what I'm saying? So now that we got that all nicely spread out, we can now go in with some more of our delicious meat sauce. This is a pretty deep pan, you guys. It might not look like it from here, but it's a pretty deep pan. And also, I was doing this with natural light, so the lighting might look very odd and dramatic and dark. That was not on purpose. It was just, I was using natural lighting. I'm still getting very used to this new kitchen setup, so child, just stick with me, honey. So now that we got our sauce down, now let's go on ahead and with some cheese. So of course we have some mozzarella cheese. Now in regards to the type of cheeses that you use in the lasagna, that's really up to you. I like to use mozzarella, and as you can see now, I get 6 medium sliced pieces of provolone cheese. That's all I use is 6 slices. I don't know why. I did it in one recipe and then I just became obsessed with it. So I've been doing it ever since. So that first layer of cheese was our mozzarella and our 6 slices of provolone. Now we're going down with some more pasta. And then after that, we're essentially now at this point, we're just going to keep repeating the same step, except the next time when we add in cheese, we're going to be adding in mozzarella and cheddar, okay? Now, as I was saying, in regards to the type of cheeses, you can add in really whatever type of cheeses you would like. That really is up to you. You could also add in veggies. You know, some people like mushrooms and all of that type of stuff. The thing about lasagna is you can truly make it whatever you want it to be. And there are so many variations of lasagnas. Anything from, you know, vegetable to chicken lasagna to seafood lasagnas, eggplant, lasagna. You can go crazy with it. As you see, we just added in our mozzarella and our cheddar cheese. And now we're going to keep going. Now, I want you to notice, as you can see, as I'm putting the pasta in, I'm adding slight pressure to it just to press it down. That's what's helping me being able to get so many layers in this, because, that sauce is still somewhat warm. So as I press down, it's compacting everything, which is allowing me to finish adding in everything. So now we're getting ready to actually work on our last layer. As you can see, we are finishing off the last bit of that ricotta cheese mixture, which was the perfect amount for this recipe. Top it off with some more sauce. Then after that, we're gonna add in our top layer of pasta and cheese. So because we're in the home stretch, you wanna go on ahead and have that oven preheated at 325 degrees. You guys, we are gonna cook this in the oven for 1 hour. I want you to make sure that you're keeping an eye on it. I prefer to loosely wrap the top of it with aluminum foil. Do not press down on it, because if you do, all of your cheese is just gonna bake to the aluminum foil. So just loosely wrap it that way for that first, 45 minutes. It can really bake and get nice and, just delicious and gooey. And then I would say in that last 15-20 minutes, you can take the aluminum foil off so that this top layer of mozzarella cheese and cheddar can get nice and brown. Also, word of caution, make sure that you have a pan underneath of this so that if it does boil over, you do not make a mess in your oven. Like I said, bake that at 325 for roughly an hour. And when it comes out of the oven, bitch, you are going to have one of the most delicious yet extremely simple turkey lasagnas there is. And it's just that simple. Look, if you are new to my channel, welcome to Simply Food by TY. If you're one of my returning subscribers, well, y'all babies know I love y'all so much. And as always, y'all babies stay cute and take care. Just take a look at the inside of how compact and layered that is, full of flavor. Okay? All right, honey, I gotta go because I'm hungry. Bye.
Slaying in the kitchen.
Simply Food by TY.
We hope that you enjoyed it.
Simply Food by TY. If you haven't took the time, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching Simply Food.